podcast if you don't mind me asking. And I said, I don't want to say it. She's like, oh, that's okay. You don't have to. And I was like, and I laughed and I was like, no, that's the name of it. That's literally the name of it. She's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Kids by bribing them to come to fast food restaurants and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, this seems like it deviates a lot from their message and what they're actually doing, what the aim is, but okay, not too suspicious yet. And then she showed me a pamphlet that they were showing to kids, and I was like, this is kind of odd because if I was a kid, I wouldn't be more interested in learning about faith. It seemed really scary and fear mongering. It had dead bodies on it, and they're like, my mom's trying to spin into a positive and say, well, it's showing the soul leave the body. And I'm like, that's still like, if I was a parent and my kid brought that home, I'd be like, whoa, what is this? What is this kid being exposed to? And I just found it odd that that was it. And she talked about the conditions on this property that this guy was running, and that got me even more leery. And more was coming out. And Gina was involved with that. That's how my mom met her. And she did set up a play date for us, a big group play date. And we got to meet that way. And then we met just the two of us, where Gina interrogated me over dinner. And I passed the test. And now, now we're friends.
Sisters.
Yeah, sisters, for sure. For
Mm-hmm.
sure. I'll add you to the family. Come on in.
According to your mom, I'm
Yeah.
part of the family now because I found expired cereal.
Yes, you are. Yep. The moment you find something expired and you tell her that it needs to be thrown out, it's official.
I'm official according to
Yeah.
this morning.
Welcome.
And so I want to take it back a little bit because, like, it's not like the program. Well, I'll just say the name of it. It was called Hope for Homeless Youth. And it's not like painted to you as these men struggling because when I got like the job offer, I mean, I wasn't struggling. I had a job, I had a home, I wasn't homeless, I was doing good. And, but the position that they hired me for was a women's home director. And if you know me, you know that's like my dream job, like helping women, especially in a home. So I was going to be like over women counselors that were going to go do outreaches for high school students. That was what was told to me. And even though it was a pay cut, like it was like everything I've always wanted. And it included everything. So I was, my best friend was like, this is probably God opening that door for you. And I'm like, yeah, like, and I decided to take the job offer. But before I took the job offer, I had to go through my interview. And it was like in-person interview, and then it was multiple phone interviews before I got the job offer. But the in-person interview is when I met her mom. And we were there early. I wanted to make a good impression, so I showed up early, and I didn't know that everyone was running late, and neither did her mom. So it gave us like a 20-minute window to just really connect, and it was honestly like instantly a connection. Like I knew her mom was like the real deal, and her mom knew I was like the real deal. And what I mean by that, it's like like woman of God, a Christian. And we just talked, and it was just so natural. And to this day, we're still very close. But at the end of the outreach, she comes up to me and she's like, can we pray for my daughter? Like, I think you'd be a really great friend for her. And so, like, I'm a people person. So, of course, I prayed for her daughter and I was open to meeting, but she didn't set the date right away. This was like in August. We didn't meet till December.
Yeah.
So, of 2023. And so I just, he gave me the job offer. And like, again, it was so good. Like, if you were to hear this job offer, I didn't want to say because it's embarrassing, but I said yes. But before I said yes, um, I was going to these prophetic training classes in Burbank. And during my interview, he said that that was going to have to be a requirement for me to go. So I was already paying for these classes, so the fact that they were going to be included with my job, I'm like, how cool is that? Like, I get to continue going and I don't have to pay for it. Like, that's awesome. And then at at the time I was going to this church, so I went to the pastor and I told him if he can pray for me. And the pastor was like, "You're a grown woman, do whatever you want." I'm like, "Oh, okay," But he did say that Clay. Oh, can we edit that out? He did
It's
say that
okay.
this pastor.
You already named the group.
All right, so he did say that this pastor was credible.
Look it up online. It's up to you to decide whether or not it's credible or not. We didn't give the specific details of the organization. We did mention it. It's up to you if you want to look it up online. We personally feel it's not right. It has a lot of markers of a high mind control group. I feel it's dangerous, but only dangerous to the people that get directly involved and are on the property. Not claiming anything that I haven't heard from people that have been there or anything like that. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there
Hmm.
that I don't think it's doing much harm to the outside world, just mostly people involved, and that we're just speaking our piece and
Yes, I don't.
people are,
I'm not trying to like slander or
yeah,
gossip. It's just my story and how we met.
yes.
So anyways, um, I talked to the pastor of the church, and he said this man was a credible man. And I went to the prophetic training class, the instructor, and I
Mhm.
brought it up the same thing, and she prayed for me. She said, God's giving you the green light. I talked to my best friend. I talked to my
Mhm.
family, and it just like I said, if it was on paper, it was like dream job. But that was where my mistake came in because I didn't sign anything and I didn't get nothing in paper. So it was at the end, it was like my word against his.
Yeah.
And he got away with it. He got away with whatever he was doing, but it's okay. I was able to break free from that. And the most beautiful thing that came out of that is I was able to. So she said that it was a ministry of struggling men. Like I said, it wasn't painted that way, and it's not necessarily that way. But when I got there, I noticed right away that it was like, whoa, like my discernment kicked in, and I was like, what is going on here? Like, this is not of God. Like, this is what is happening. And I did meet this guy there, and he pulled me to the side, and he's like, I would pray this is really God. And I prayed and I felt like God said yes. But now that I'm out of it, I can see why I was actually able
Yeah.
when I left to help that person out. And that was one of the best things I did. I was able to make a way for someone to leave. And I also met her mom, and then I met
Hmm.
Anae. Now I have, a friends,
Yeah.
I have friends from this experience who helped me heal, who helped me get through it. And but that's what we're doing. It was like a outreach for high school students, and I even did the right thing. I tried to address him, and he shut me down.
Yeah.
So I did the biblical order. I went to the pastor, and then we had a
Mm.
meeting. And but like I said,
Mm.
nothing really came out of that besides me being able to leave
Yeah.
and me helping someone else leave and just exposing the truth.
Mhm.
And whoever took the truth, and whoever didn't, like, God bless
Yeah.
you.
And just to say, like, what specifically about that place wasn't right, if you don't mind
So
expanding?
he told me that the woman's home, that he already submitted the papers and that it was gonna be ready in 2 weeks. So for the 2 weeks, I would have to live in a trailer. I was expecting the trailer you see on the TV. The
Yeah.
When I got there, um, the house was like a hoarder house, and it was out of order. It was just filth everywhere. The trailer was covered in the insulation of like that you put on the wall, like that gray one
Yeah.
or silver one.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked like either a spaceship, but like a tweaker home.
Mm.
And I just went in there and I was like, whoa, what is this? So right away, I was like, what is this? But I was already like too deep in, and it's like, it's just 2 weeks. And if I can be, real, I think it was me just being a little selfish of really wanting this.
Yeah.
Because this was like till this day, it's still a dream of mine to be able to have a woman's home.
Yeah.
So, like, Gina, just suck it up. It's just 2 weeks. And then the 2 weeks came and it was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
There was no home.
Yeah.
And on my very first day, not even my very first day, my very first Sunday, I seen him go into the donation box and take the cash out and use the cash to buy lunch for people. So when I saw that, I'm like, why did I see that, God? Why are you showing me these things? I saw the condition of the men. There was, I think, like 8, 9 men living there, or 11. I don't even remember, but they were living in poverty. Like, if um, it was just sad to see these men. Like, they didn't have clothes, they didn't have shoes, they didn't have food.
Yeah.
And I
And the
just knew,
ministry was supposed to be helping these men get back on their feet, right?
supposedly the ministry was to be helping. Well, the ministry was outreaches for youth,
Yeah.
but to me, like, we would have Bible studies on Tuesdays,
Mm-hmm.
or I think I don't, and he would he would talk the whole time, and like literally the whole half the day. He said, "Oh, we're going through our core values." Till this day, I can't tell you what the core values were because he never mentioned one.
Yeah.
It was just like talk, 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 and I'm just like,
And it was just him just
yeah.
speaking kind of like on a
It was
soapbox.
just, yeah, him just talking,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to go. And so he called them stipends, or is that how
Mm-hmm.
you say it? Like a stipend?
Where you get a little bit of cash.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
So you would get some cash if you follow the rules. But if you were late to these meetings
Mm-hmm.
or whatever reason that he felt that you didn't deserve it, you wouldn't get it. So it was a lot of manipulation, especially through the eyes.
Yeah, and that's financial manipulation
Oh
for
yeah, he
sure.
had these
That's
men so broken
yeah.
down too. They were so dependent on him. And I just knew, like, this is not of God.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, like, one time I asked him if I can have a meeting with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would do Saturdays, we would do like food outreaches.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, like, they would leave the food in really bad conditions. And that's how I knew, like, how is this of God? Like, to me, like, I used to go to this church and they taught me that you serve God in excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on time, you're already late.
Yeah.
So it was like I knew we served God in excellence, and the way this was being ran was definitely not in excellence. It was very like poverty and just very like unsanitary. And
Yeah.
again, I'm not bashing or trying to gossip or talk bad. It's just what it was.
Yeah.
So
And
I remember one time.
I feel it's important to speak of something that's going on, especially if it's being done in the name of God and it's clearly not. And I think it's good to expose it as Jesus exposed hypocrites. It's important.
It was very deceitful. So I remember one time, I think it was a Friday. They went to go pick up the food for this, or Thursday, and they went to go get the food for the Saturday. We used to do a food distribution.
Hmm.
It was like a food bank.
Yeah.
They had a produce. They had all this food like in the car in the hot out, and so I tried to save it. I put my AC on my trailer, and I took a lot of produce to try to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And so I called. He had hired another woman, and she and her husband, they both got hired, and also used them and didn't pay them. So he was just a bunch of lies that he was just using people. And so
Yeah.
I remember, like, I had called her to come get some food, and I had told him, like, hey, can I talk to you? Because I just wanted to talk to him about, like, why, like, I cooked for the men one time, and there was, like, literally cockroaches on the stove while I was cooking. There's
Oh,
cockroaches on the table while I was eating. And if you know me, you know I hate cockroaches. Like, I hate them. So I remember calling this woman to come get some food because it was really good food,
yeah.
and I didn't want it to go bad. So she came and she took what she wanted, And I had told him, like, hey, I need to talk to you. So he came to have this meeting with me. And I went to go walk this woman out because she was leaving.
Mm.
And I come back and he's laying on my bed. Yes,
That's
like
creepy.
it was creepy and
And
like
I know that's where
cringe.
everyone's mind goes when they hear high mind control cult.
Like I was like, what is he? Like he
Yeah.
was literally laying on my bed. And when you walk in the trailers, because you walk in and it's like
Hmm.
it was like a studio, like a bed. My bed was here, like my little fridge was there, the kitchen was right here.
Hmm.
And then the back room, I did have a back room, but it was like my closet.
Hmm.
And so
But nothing happened, right?
no, so
Thank
I
God.
when I go in there, he's laying on the bed. I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So he sits up, I'm standing, because I have nowhere else to sit.
Hmm.
So I'm standing and I'm like, I want to talk to you. Like, I believe God brought me here to bring change. And I think one of that change is we need to get the house in order. We should clean it and just like get rid of the cockroaches. There was flies everywhere.
Hmm.
So he sits up and he like with his eyes tries to manipulate me. And I was very scared, honestly. I was
Mm.
very scared. And he's like, don't try to come and bring change here. And I'm like, because I'm asking to clean?
Yeah.
Like, really? So then I think, at this point, he knows like I'm onto him.
Yeah.
And so he tries to, like, the next day we have a meeting. He's like, oh, like, we're going to get the house in order, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was very short lived. But like I said, just so many deception and so many things. And then I just saw how he was treating these men. And I was just so broken. And so, to end this experience, the day I was going to leave, um, my whole family, I remember the day, it was my nephew's birthday. It was
Yeah.
October 18th. I was at my sister's house because we were doing a cake. And so he was supposed to pay me, and he had paid me late for the month before. So now we're in a new month, and I mean, it's not my fault he paid me late. We're going back and forth, and I'm like, well, I need you to pay me because like my car is overdue. And that was part of the agreement, is that he would pay for my car because he was going to get me a ministry car anyway. So I'm like, well, I already have a car, so there's no need to get me one.
Hmm.
And so again, I didn't get nothing on paper, but that was the agreement. And he
Always
said,
get it in writing.
yes, always lesson learned, always get on right in writing. So he tells me, ask him again in 30 days. And I'm like, 30 days? I'm like, I don't have 30 days. And I'm like, I question him, like, how is this of God? Like, for you to, like, try to, talk to me this way. So at that point, I'm with my family. So I let my family know what's going on. My mom's like, you need to leave. Like, you
Hmm.
need to, like, you have a home. Well, also, my mom went. When I went to go look at the home, my mom went and, like, her jaw dropped to the floor. Like, she's like, this must, if you know me, and you saw that place, that's just not my vibe. My mom was like, this really must be God if you're willing to go through this. And I'm like, I think it's God. And the beautiful thing about it is that even though it was so terrible, something beautiful did come out of it.
Yeah.
And
So,
I did bring change.
and the escape, how'd that go?
So back to the day, my family is like, let's go get your stuff. And my brother, his wife now, my mom, a friend of ours, we were like walking to the car to go get my stuff. Like, I was leaving. They were like, you should leave this night. I get to my door and I hear the Holy Spirit speak to me like, don't leave without this person, without talking to this person. I'm like, I'm mad at that person because I was mad at this person. And I had not spoken to him in 2 days. He's one of the men that lives there. And so what happened was that a couple of days before, they would laugh at me when I would say like, "Oh, I'm going to bring change," because they've been there for so long and they haven't seen any change. So I remember telling him like, "Do you not believe in me?" And he said, "Do you need validation?" And I'm just like, "Whatever. I'm not talking to you no more." And I didn't. For 2 days, I did not talk to him. And then Wednesday, where he was calling me, I didn't answer. And then back to me being at the door of my car, very heavily on my spirit, I hear clearly like, "Don't leave without talking to him."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, Mom, just go home. Like, I told my mom, my brother, his fiance, just go home. Like, I'm going to leave tomorrow, but I have to take care of something tonight. So I'm like, God, okay, like, this must really be you. So I call the person, I call him back, and I was like, I need to talk to you. So we meet up. He's on a run. So I look for him, and we talk, and we're in the car, and I tell him I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And I was actually leaving tonight, but Holy Spirit really told me not to leave without talking to you, and I really feel that you should leave with me. And he just stays quiet. And then I told him, like, I had a dream last night. I had a dream you were running for your life. And he turned like pale. And he looks at me, he's like, I had the exact same dream. And then I was like, well then let's go. Let's leave. And he's like, would your mom be okay with that? I'm like, let's go ask her. So I drove all the way from the valley to Hacienda Heights in the middle of the night. Literally, it was like midnight. And I go upstairs. And when I walk into my mom's room, because I just walked into my mom's room, she was like this.
Yeah.
She was like this. And when she opened her eyes and saw me, she was just so shocked. She's like, Gina, I just prayed to God. I was like, God, if you're the one who sent my daughter to this place, give me peace, because my mom didn't have no peace the whole time.
Yeah.
She's like, give me peace and help me accept it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did not send my daughter there, send her back home. And then I walked in. Yeah, it was like that. And I
Yeah,
was
just
like,
like that.
she's like, she's like, I thought you were gonna come tomorrow. I was like, well, I am, but can you come downstairs? So she came downstairs, and he was there. I was like, Mom, like, if also you know me, you know I have a history of taking people in, homeless and all. Like, I just have a heart for people.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know if you could be my daughter.
so I go downstairs. I'm like, I
Yeah.
know, Mom, I know, but God told me not to leave without him. And she's like, okay. So the next day, we went about our day. Like, we went home back to the trailer. Well, I lived in the trailer, but he lived in the home because it was a house. But the men lived inside the house, and then I lived on the trailer on the side of the house. So I was by myself. And we went about the next day like nothing happened. But that night, I stood up all night packing my stuff. He stayed up all night packing his stuff. He said he fasted, and he told God, if this is you, like, let nothing stop it. And yeah, the next day, we went to our outreach like nothing happened. We got back early, and we left.
Wow.
We left, and there
Yeah.
was, so many awful things that was said about that. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, that was something beautiful that came out of that experience, is that I was able to help at least one
Yeah.
person out of there. And I think that's the reason why God sent me there,
Yeah, to
was
help him.
was to help him, because he was praying for a way out.
And the aftermath after you left, did you try and let people know what was going on?
Oh yeah, well, that's when I met I had already met your mom, and we used to go to the church where your mom goes,
Mm-hmm.
and I would see her there on Sundays. And so one Sunday, she asked me the last Sunday I was there, she
Yeah.
asked me how I was doing, and I didn't want to lie. I can't tell you things are great if they're not. So I remember telling her no comment.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's like, you don't need to say nothing. You look terrible. I'm like, I was so sick. I couldn't breathe there. I was so sick. So I told your mom, like, yeah, I've been really sick.
Yeah.
So I think that was the night or 2 days before the day that he was laying on my bed. And I knew he knew that was wrong, because just my body language, how I reacted afterwards.
Yeah.
So he was trying to make it up to me by sending me to lunch with your mom. He's like, oh, go have lunch with your mom and
Mm-hmm.
Heather, and I'll pay for it, and blah, blah, blah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
lunch
Just
on
random
me.
ladies. This may or may not be their actual name.
Yes. Yeah, just and so that's when they asked me, because I went up to them after service, like, well, he said to go meet with you guys after service.
Yeah.
The gentleman who left with me, he went to meet with me to church that day, which I don't think he wanted to go to church. He just wanted to get out of the house.
Hmm.
But he came with me, and they invited us to lunch. And I'm like, well, he's with me, but they're like, yeah, he can join us. And I just was like, this is my opportunity. It's either now or never.
Yeah.
And I told them everything I'm sharing right now, I shared with them, and they were flabbergasted.
Hmm.
Like, her mom was like, I knew something was up, but I couldn't put my finger on it, but this just gives me so much confirmation. He didn't want to share nothing because he's really not the type to gossip, and he doesn't like to talk bad about nobody. And I'm like, okay, you don't have to say nothing, but just can you confirm I'm not lying? And he's like, she's not lying.
Yeah.
So they were like, wow. And that's when they found out about the truth of what was really happening in this home.
Yeah.
And so I do. He said that I poked the hornet's nest,
Yeah.
and I think I sure did. I stirred it up,
Yeah.
and
And unfortunately, this information has been disseminated, but the organization still operates. But
they
the
changed the name.
the truth should be out there. Yeah. So it's a different name now.
They go by a different name now.
Got it. Yeah.
And I was involved in many organizations,
Hmm.
and I stopped being involved with any organization that was associated with him. We tried to warn the churches, the directors of, I don't know the board of directors of the churches. I don't know. I was not
Yeah.
involved in that process. But even an organization, I think Save California,
Hmm.
like yeah, we warned them. They didn't want to hear it, and so I decided to just, okay, I don't want nothing to do with them. And
Hmm.
I did my part. I exposed it, and I moved on with my life.
Yeah. And how's it been since coming out? Have you been coping with everything?
So a few months later, the person that I helped out, he moved out of state. He went back home, and I really never spoke to him again.
Hmm.
So I hope he's well. But shortly after, there was these two other gentlemen, a father and a son, that I also took in. I guess I didn't learn my lesson.
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson though. I haven't taken anyone else since.
Okay, that's good.
They were in the same organization. They were done the same way. The woman that I helped, she got fired with her husband. It was just so bad, and it's been over a year,
Yeah.
and I still cringe at the idea of it, everything.
Yeah.
But I'm just grateful that, I'm trying to take all the bad and find the good, and my discernment increased. It made me seek God even more, and it just taught me how not to be.
Yeah.
And I pray that someone will take this seriously and shut it down,
Hmm.
because this pastor,
Hmm.
he calls himself a pastor, um, he's laying hands on kids.
Praying.
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 Yeah,
Praying.
sorry. Praying.
He's
Yes.
praying for children.
He's praying for children. Like, laying hands, what I mean is, like, putting his hands on
Praying
their
on
head.
children.
Yeah, no, nothing like that.
Like prayer. We're not saying anything.
No, 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 no. Like prayer,
Not, yeah.
like putting hand on their head and praying for them, and no, nothing weirdo like that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's more of a financial control thing that I think it is, more so than what people typically think, the sexual nature of high mind control, but it's more just the financial control thing that we're discussing and talking about. Anything else,
I
we're
think the
not
most
saying.
traumatizing thing there was one of the men there that was so sure, that was trying to get at me, and he
Mm.
wanted to talk to the pastor about us getting married. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I am so scared of you. Like, I am so scared of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about that one. But
Yeah.
it
That's
was
okay. You
everything.
don't have to say.
I don't want to say, but
Mhm.
I that's just the story of how I ended up meeting her. But I really want to like just kind of move on and share
Mhm.
just about the journey of when we met, which was months later.
Yeah.
I came to her house. We had like a game night, right?
Yeah, we had game night.
We had a game night. It was fun. It was like
Yeah.
men against women,
Yeah, it was
the
all
boys against
fun.
the
Yeah,
girls.
boys against
Yeah,
girls. Yeah.
and it was fun. And we stayed in touch a little bit afterwards, and then just our friendship has just blossomed. We've gotten to know each other. Um, my mental health did take a hit
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And I was just trying to let you know you did experience something traumatic, whether people see it or not. You were in a situation where it was high mind control, and a lot of people fail to see that or understand the toll it can take on someone's life. A lot of people just think, oh, well, you're out of the situation, you're good. But it can take a lot of time to heal from that and to regain control of your life when so many aspects of it, from your living situation to your financial situation,
To
were
my
controlled.
trusting,
Your trust, yeah, that was broken. So it does take a lot of time to heal. And I'm just like, hey, you need your space, you need your time. Don't feel bad if you're not quite at that, back to where you once were before this happened.
exactly. And thank you because you were a big part of that process of
Yeah.
just reassuring me that it's like it's okay not to be okay,
Yeah.
and it's gonna take time. And for a long time, I was not okay,
Yeah.
and thankfully, I'm doing better this year,
Mhm.
as of recently.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just hit after hit after hit, and
Mhm.
that's kind of how we started a podcast. Like I've
Mhm.
always wanted to have a podcast, and she always wanted to have a podcast,
Yeah.
and then we were just one day talking about it, and she said, "Well, we should just start one and
Yeah.
talk
Let's just do
about
it.
our traumas, talk about healing, and trying to find the laughter at the end of it." And I remember telling him like, "I don't think nothing's funny."
To which I responded with a laugh.
Yeah, she did. I'm like, I don't find any humor in what I went through.
Yeah.
And but now I'm just like,
Well, at least you got with the high mind control group that's not about all sex. So that's, you found the one.
mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, when I think about it, something really funny was that when I
Mm.
left, I didn't leave alone.
Yeah.
I didn't take, he was a grown man that made a choice to leave.
Get up to.
Yeah, they were like, they fell in love and ran away. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so I was like, why would we run away if we fell in love? Like, that makes
Yeah.
no sense. I'm like, no, I just like, all these men were victims. If I can
Yeah.
had help all of them leave, I would
Yeah.
have.
And then they would have said, you just got yourself 11 husbands, didn't you?
I guess so. But it was not like that at
Yeah.
all. And, but yeah, like now I see things, I'm like, that's really funny how they would say that, or how he
Yeah.
would say that, or they, because one of the other leaders,
Oh, boy.
yeah, they were saying that. And I'm like, and
Hmm.
we knew leaving that was going to be the case.
Hmm.
And then that woman, she was like, yeah, they are saying that.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. So, yeah, so I'm happy that you're comfortable with sharing, and in due time, if you ever do want to expose the name, you know,
I kind of did.
that's where, but it's not up to me to expose the name. I don't even know what the new name is, to be honest with you. But I feel it's important to put these people on blast as much as possible so people don't fall into the trap of perpetuating the cycle. And it's up to everyone at their own time to come out or to expose as much as they like to expose, or just some people just want to move on with their life and not really talk
And
about it.
I did want to talk about the pamphlet a little bit because it was called the
And there we go.
7 ways
Hmm.
to heaven or the 7 ways to die. I don't know, but it was something about
Yeah.
exposing hell and putting fear. It was,
Yeah.
and so in the home, not everyone will go to the outreaches,
Hmm.
and then not everyone would minister. There would be like some of them will be holding a sign outside. One of them would be like passing out flyers like that had a voucher like, oh, free burger if you give us like 5 minutes of your time.
Hmm.
And then I was one of the counselors. So was the one who left with me. He was like their best, honestly. He was the best person that they had. Like he was strong and young and
Hmm.
just like since I was partnered with him, I would always tell him like, because I'm sure he's has his own traumas, and I would always tell him like the beautiful thing though is that like when these kids were with you, they encountered God.
Hmm.
Like you weren't out there trying to put fear in them. You were genuinely loving these children.
Yeah.
And with same with me, like I was genuinely just loving on these kids.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like all bad because when we were in these outreaches, like there was other volunteers. Oh, he had a
Hmm.
lot of volunteers. And I saw like some of the volunteers were a little questionable, but some of them were like, okay, like you genuinely, like your mom,
Yeah.
you genuinely want to preach the gospel to kids.
Yeah.
So
I want the best for the kids.
like the name never made sense with the
Yeah.
idea of the organization, but like I saw what the potential, I guess. I don't know how to word it,
Hmm.
but yeah, not everyone that was a part of this ministry was bad, and I did meet amazing people
Hmm.
and some that I'm still friends with. So, like
I think that's kind of the worst part, though, too, because it took like the core of something that could have been really good in helping people, unfortunately, not helping the people they said that they were helping, and just slathering it with just greed and control. So I feel like a lot of it is detrimental to what the actual cause could have been or should have been. And there's so many other ways to go about it. And if you're saying one thing but doing another, I think that's even worse because there are actual youth out there that are homeless that could use help.
exactly. And I thought that's what we're doing. We're gonna go to like LA and preach to homeless, but we were going to like Woodland Hills.
Which is a really nice area in the valley where I doubt hardly any, if any, of those kids are homeless.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, I wasn't there long enough to really see everything, but because I do have discernment,
Hmm.
I was able to see through a lot, and right away, like the Holy Spirit was like, something's not right, something's off. And like I said, if my only purpose was to help this person
Yep.
and to meet your mom, because I think she was part of the plan, then
Hmm.
you know what, God, I praise you.
Yeah.
Even through the Bible says, even through trials, you can rejoice.
Hmm.
So this is kind of the purpose of this podcast. Even through the trials, we can find joy, we can find laughter, knowing that we're strengthened and our character is being developed. So a lot of character development for sure has taken place. A lot of healing has taken place this past like 2 years
Yeah.
or a
And
year. I don't know, but yeah, 2 years.
what would you say has helped you the most during the healing process?
Um, well, for me, God and being surrounded by friends and family who have chosen not to give up on me.
Yeah.
Who have chosen to love me even in the middle of my mess. So
Hmm.
I guess the question for you is you witnessing me being in that.
Yeah.
How,
Um,
how did how did you
w-
help was it help me in the process?
when I first met you, I thought, well, she's really put together for someone that just experienced that. And then I saw you break down a bit. And then it was like, oh, so now it's really hitting. And now she's really dealing with it because it didn't happen immediately. It felt like maybe there was a guard up initially and it was downplayed, but I would kind of try and say it's okay. Like if you're having these emotions, you can let them happen. You did go through something big, and then when you had like a huge breakdown, I was like, okay, now I guess it's really hitting. And I just wanted to just continue to tell you like it's okay, and you're probably just it's all coming to you now, and it feels like just this wave of emotions and stuff that I saw
Was it
come
the
through
first time
you.
where I just broke down crying on the couch?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember that when you broke down, and you broke down a couple times, but I'm happy to see you putting yourself back together, and just to see someone go through that and to know like it may not come immediately, it may be a bit delayed, and even just that little bit of time there, just I can tell it really morphed you. Granted, I don't know you before that time, which is funny, but to see you putting yourself back together afterwards it's a beautiful thing, and I just I just hope that you can continue and just grow even stronger from the experience. So if you do have a friend or a family member that's been through something like that, just know like it's not unusual, and a lot of people don't even realize it when they're going through it, and it takes a lot of the times a person from the outside looking in to call it out, because it's very hard for someone when they're in the midst of it to realize how bad a situation is. Like my mom was seeing a lot of flaws but still going along with it and not fully seeing what I was saying because I had nothing to do with it. And I would go, well, what about this? Well, what about that? And it got the wheels turning a bit. And sometimes I still have to kind of remind her, like, look, this should not be like propped up, promoted, anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, I think the best thing for it would be to dismantle it
I agree.
completely. Um, and out of it, I think it's fun because now I get to say I have a friend that I met because of a cult.
And
And
you brought up a good point that
yeah.
I was very put together
Hmm.
because that's honestly, um, you know, I felt, or I don't feel like this anymore,
Yeah.
but even during it, not during it, more like after it,
Yeah.
especially like after the whole situation that I won't talk about on here.
Hmm.
Um,
You don't have to say.
I don't have to say. And that's the beautiful part about this is that we don't have to say, but we want to talk about the things that no one says. But that's just something personal I went through that I'm just not ready to share. But I broke down, like where I felt like I was drowning and no one saw. Like I was falling apart before everyone's eyes and no one noticed.
Hmm.
I lost my mind and no one noticed. And everyone, when I finally hit like that crashing point where everyone saw like, oh, like damn, like she's not okay.
Yeah.
I got that a lot, like, oh well, you look so strong,
Hmm.
or you're so put together. Like I would never think you're going through anything.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of hearing it, like you're strong, you're strong. And I'm like, when do I not get to be strong?
Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay to sometimes just not be strong and let yourself be
And I think
vulnerable.
that's the day the way you told me. Um,
Yeah.
and I just was like, okay, well, this is the real me, and I just like broke down,
Hmm.
and I think that was the first time you're like, oh wow, like she's not okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So through this though, we have built a sisterhood, a friendship. Like she's been like I said, an anchor in my life to where a big part of the journey, where it's like it's okay to just be yourself, even with recording. Like
Yeah.
I, we would have to do so many takes and I would feel insecure, but she's like, just be you. Like,
Yeah.
just be you. And so here I am, just being me, ready to share my story, my experience. And it doesn't have to be in a church setting.
Hmm.
Like, it could be a job, it could be in a family, it could be Anything,
any kind of
anywhere,
relationship
any
can.
kind of like trauma. Like it doesn't have to be, on a, well, it was a job I took in ministry, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like maybe your
Yeah.
story's different, but maybe you went through something where you felt deceived or you felt lied to, and it did break your trust in people. Like I didn't even trust myself at some point.
Yeah.
But, thank God I'm not in that position anymore. I have great community, great friends, my family, like my mom, my brother, my sister-in-law, my best friend. My best friend has, been such a big part to my healing. Anae, her mom, like
Yeah.
just so many people that surround me, that are around me, that just have loved me. My sister's kids, they've been a big part of my healing because they're just, I love kids because they think, well, that they need me, but I need them.
Mhm.
So just seeing them laugh, seeing them joke
Yeah.
around and laugh and just have that childlike faith.
That reminds me of that bumper sticker where it's like the rescue dog one, where it's like, who rescued who?
Yeah, I honestly believe that. Like the kids, I mean, the way they roast me is next level, but it makes me laugh, it makes me laugh. And,
Yeah.
uh, I have a puppy now.
Who rescued who?
Um,
Hmm.
no comment on that one yet.
Yeah.
I don't want to say.
We'll see. We'll see.
No,
Yeah.
I'm.
But it sounds like you're in I wouldn't say like the greatest place, but you're in a good place, and you're truly you're building yourself back up.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we ever stop building ourselves back up. So don't feel bad if you feel like you're not quite, where you want to be, because we all can point out aspects of our life where we aren't quite where we want to be. You just got to keep going, and every time you drop the ball a little, you just pick yourself back up. So that's how we met.
That's how this podcast got started.
Yeah.
And, we hope you join us on this journey as
Hmm.
we continue to heal. We continue to talk about topics, whether they're controversial or,
Hmm.
just random,
Yeah, for sure.
informational. We plan to, I think we mentioned it in our last recording, but
Yeah,
we
but
do,
this one's coming out first.
we do plan to like have our friends join us. Um,
Other people we
Other people we
know.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's gonna be great. It's a great journey so
Yeah.
far. So
Yeah, so like and subscribe. If you do leave a comment, it's cool. We only read the constructive ones, but please roast as hard as possible. No. All right, well,
all
thank you
about
very
love, peace and love.
much. Yeah, so won't you be our neighbors? Join us again on the next episode of the I Don't Want to Say
Podcast.
podcast.
Amen.
All right.